I really pray this finds you well. I hope that you are just doing as well as possible under these incredibly interesting circumstances. I would love to know where you're listening in from. Most of you are going to be listening to the recorded version. So if you're listening to the replay, please drop replay and where you are listening from, where you're watching from. And also, I'd really, really love to know how you're doing. If you're one of our amazing frontline physicians, women physicians that are out there fighting coronavirus, COVID-19, on the front lines, working longer hours than usual, experiencing the stress and strain of treating patients every day, please drop a 1 along with where you're listening from. Hopefully you are getting a lunch hour so that you can learn with us today. If you are someone that works in a area of medicine that is not on the front lines, like myself, radiology, or dermatology, or aesthetics, or other non-frontline physician, and you're maybe experiencing less work, fewer opportunities to interact with patients, drop a 2 and let me know how this is impacting your daily life. I would love to hear from you. Also, if you are self-quarantining, either because you were exposed to someone, tested positive, drop a 3. We really want to, number 1, shout out our love and appreciation to those of you who are, you drop in a 1 that are frontline people, and 2, those of us that are number 2, maybe seeing fewer and fewer patients and having our work schedules curtailed a bit. Let us pray that we all stay home and really self-isolate, practice physical distancing so that we don't further overload our amazing hero number 1 people. And for those of you that are dropping to number 3 that you're quarantining, please let us hear from you so that we can pray for you and offer you encouragement and maybe some entertainment. So, so for those of you that don't know me, my name is Shawn McKee. I am a neuroradiologist. I live in Ocean Springs. It's a little town on the Gulf Coast, halfway between Pensacola and New Orleans. And it's absolutely a beautiful town. Love it here. I'm married to my medical school sweetheart, John McKee. I met him in 1988, and we were married in '89. Been married for 30 wonderful years this June. We have 2 amazing boys in college, or they're in Alabama, but they're at home currently, and really helping out with our purging the house and cleaning out the house. How many of you guys are doing amazing home projects and organizing and cleaning areas that haven't been cleaned in months in your home? Drop a 4 below. We sure are. My radiology schedule has been curtailed, but I tell you what, I'm coming to you today to offer you all some hope, because I have experienced unbelievable growth in my work from home business. And it's something I'm really, really passionate about, because it addresses a fundamental problem we all have, and that is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is basically a byproduct, as you probably know, it's a byproduct of the food we eat and the air we breathe, and we get just kind of put off those free radicals as a kind of a byproduct. And those free radicals are damaging to our cells, our DNA. And I'm going to share some slides with you now that you know who I am and see where I'm coming from. I want to tell my story first of all, and then I'm going to share my slides. So about 9 years ago, I was physically exhausted. Now I am an Ironman triathlete, and I'm talking the full Ironman, not the half Ironman that they renamed Ironman 70.3. I've done 2 140.6 mile Ironman triathlons on human propulsion. I've done 50-mile endurance or ultra marathon, and dozens of marathons and dozens of Olympic distance and half Ironman triathlons. And I have always been the Energizer Bunny. I also was a managing partner of a 140,000 square foot health and wellness facility with 7 pools, an indoor track, and 85 fitness classes a week. So I had to be the Energizer Bunny. I had a ton of hats that I was wearing. And about 9 years ago, I found myself just kind of all of a sudden just completely exhausted. I didn't have any vim, vigor, vitality. I didn't have any oomph. I literally would fall asleep on my husband while he was telling me about his day while we're sitting on the couch in the evening. And then on top, you know, besides that, he would have to come into the bedroom in the morning with a cup of coffee, hoping the aroma would get my tail out of bed. Because somewhere in the night, I'd woken up at 2 or 3 in the morning with my heart racing, adrenaline pumping, and, you know, unable to go back to sleep until it seemed like 5 minutes before my alarm went off. So what I didn't realize was my adrenals had crashed because I was burning the candle at 12 ends. I'm trying to do all this, be, you know, this full-time neuroradiologist, married to a full-time gastroenterologist with 2 very, very busy, athletic, musical, artistic boys, trying to get them to all their after-school activities while being, you know, the wife and is just managing partner in real estate. Oh my goodness. I was basically adrenally burned out. So my sweet husband, after seeing me kind of drag along for several months, he suggested that I see this anti-aging doctor. And I was a little bit insulted because I'm like, what does that mean? Do you think I'm aging? You know, of course, I was looking in the mirror. I was aging. It was bad. I was 44 and a half, and I felt like I was 64 and a half. It was bad. So he suggested that I see this anti-aging doctor. And I went to see her, and of course I was low in thyroid and magnesium and D3 and testosterone and all these things. And so she put me on this fabulous anti-aging cocktail, which sounded fabulous, but it was not fun because I was taking 28 pills a day. I literally would have to unscrew all these bottles and take these pills. And of course I didn't have time to swallow that many pills before I was trying to get the kids out of school because I just got up, you know, because I got up late because I was exhausted. So I'd throw the pills in a baggie and run into the car and realize I forgot a bottle of water. It was just awful. So when I went back for my 6-month follow-up after doing this for 6 months diligently, dutifully, my doctor asked me, so how you doing? I said, I hate taking that many pills. And that's when she said the words that changed my life. She said, well, there is something that is known to reduce it's proven to reduce oxidative stress by an average of 40% in everyone who takes it in 30 days. And they have real published peer-reviewed literature, published studies done by major medical schools. I was like, well, why didn't you tell me about that before? She goes, I just found out about it. I said, oh, okay. So I immediately went and got the biggest box of it that I could because I knew I was going to take it forever. I was going to force feed it to my husband. I was going to give it to my dog because, believe it or not, dogs have more oxidative stress than people. They pant, they sniff the, you know, grass that has herbicides and pesticides, and their metabolism is so much faster. That's why they die so much younger. So that began my story. And I never, ever, ever imagined doing something else for an income than I was already doing, because I had a real estate, 100 doors with real estate, managing partner of 140,000 square foot health and wellness facility, full-time position. We had investments. And so, you know, I didn't want another hat to wear, and couldn't really imagine doing something for income that wasn't related to medicine and real estate. But lo and behold, I started seeing what happened to my family, my dog, looking at the studies on PubMed. When I first heard about this, there were 9 studies on PubMed on the branded blend of herbs, okay, the branded product. And today, well, then there was a 10th study published about a month later, and then 2 months later, the 11th study, and then a month later, the 13th study, and then 3 months later, the 14th study. And today there are 31 peer-reviewed published studies, and 26 of them can be viewed on PubMed.gov, which is really cool. The others were presented at scientific meetings. So I'm going to share my screen now. We're going to do this one. I'm going to go to present. Okay, present your view. Let's see. Start presentation. Okay, and share. All right. So hopefully you can see my screen. We did mention oxidative stress, and I'm going to talk about a concept today called biohacking. It's a buzzword, and really it just means making the most of yourself. So it's the opposite of being hijacked. Today our environment is being hijacked by things that are destructive, like, you know, toxins, obviously pathogens, EMFs, allergies, and the opposite of that is biohacking. It's just taking control of your own biology, optimizing your genetic expression, and becoming the best version of yourself using nutrigenomics. That is the research of how nutrients and natural compounds impact the expression of our genes. We know it's all about epigenetics. It's not what your genes you're born with, it's which genes get expressed. I'm sure you've heard the expression, you are what you eat. Well, with every bite of food you take, every supplement or activator you consume, you're impacting your genes for better or for worse. So again, we're exposed to insecticides, fungicides, pesticides, herbicides, preservatives, colorings, additives, pollution in the water that we drink, bathe in, swim in, shower in, the air that we breathe. We're getting exposed to EMFs through our cell phones, our Wi-Fi, 5G is rolling out. It's just a scary, scary time. Never mind, you know, pathogens in the environment. So biohacking is just a verb that means taking control of a complex system, namely your own biology in order to achieve a desired outcome. If you look at the word bio means biology and hacking means optimizing or making the most of or taking advantage of a way to do things in a better way. And nutrigenomics is really the scientific study of what the interaction of nutrition and your genes are, and it's a $600 billion industry. So remember we talked about oxidative stress and what that can be thought of as or a representative of that is when you cut an apple, the skin has previously protected the delicate flesh of the apple from the oxidizing air, the oxygen in the environment. And once that skin is removed, the flesh is exposed and it turns brown. Well, if you leave a bicycle out in the rain, it rusts, okay? What does it look like for our cells? Well, it's not very pretty. It basically damages our cells, our lipids, our proteins, our DNA, our mitochondrial membranes, and it leads to dysfunction, lack of ability, just all kinds of bad things. We don't want to get into anything other than lack of proper structure and function. And what does it look like on us? Well, we're not going to turn brown like a banana or an apple, but we certainly get wrinkles, gray hair, fine lines, etc. So if you look up oxidative stress in PubMed or on PubMed, you will see there are over 225,000 studies. And you can see the graph on the right. That's the number of studies published per year, the number of publications per year. You can see it just goes up every year. It's a big deal. And up until now, the only thing we could do for it was to take our antioxidants. And you definitely need to eat your fruits and vegetables. We need our vitamin E, vitamin C, all these vitamins, D3 especially right now. K2, we need selenium, we need magnesium, we need zinc. All of those things make up our membranes. We are literally what we eat. But if you have to distract or utilize or convert your antioxidants from being building blocks to actually putting out the fire of oxidative stress, number one, it can only do it on a 1-to-1 ratio. So one antioxidant molecule in your orange or your apple will only neutralize one free radical. We have 370 septillion free radicals every day, more if you're an athlete, like especially an endurance athlete like I was. Again, I have, I'm doing moderate exercise because moderate exercise is actually good for you. Hormesis, it's the right optimal amount of something induces a protective response. And what is the protective response that exercise will induce? It's NRF2 activation, NRF2. All right, we're going to get into that for a second. The reason consuming too many direct antioxidants may not be the answer is because it can suppress, it can put out just enough of the fire in the 1-to-1 ratio that it suppresses this wonderful thing called NRF2 activation. NRF2 activation, NRF2 is a protein messenger, it's a transcription factor that's found in every single one of your cells, and it codes, once it's activated, it goes into the nucleus and it binds to the antioxidant response element on your DNA and codes for thousands of survival genes. What are these survival genes? Some examples are catalase, glutathione, superoxide dismutase, heme oxygenase. There's so many. And when you have an upregulation of catalase by 30%, which this does, catalase by 54%, SOD by 30%, and glutathione by 300%, your body can start to get to work on good things. So how did this all begin? Well, back in 2003, some scientists got together and they, excuse me for a second. I'm back. They got together and they formulated a blend of herbs that have been used in human health for centuries. They actually put together various combinations and found one combination. They actually describe it as finding a needle in 3 haystacks. That one particular combination of these 5 herbs increased antioxidant response by 1,800% compared to each of the 5. So there was a synergy involved, okay? So some of the ingredients, I'm gonna go into them more later, but green tea, wonderful antioxidant, right? Well, 18-fold more than green tea, you know, turmeric, an anti-inflammatory, 18-fold more in the actual patented blend. So the recipe does matter. And so once they made that claim that what my doctor told me, that it reduces oxidative stress by 40% on average in 30 days, well, people started talking about it. And then, of course, when that happens, investigative journalists come knocking at your door. Normally when 60 Minutes or Dateline or ABC Primetime come knocking on the corporate door, the CEO is running out the back door with his briefcase over his head going, no comment, no comment, no comment, right? Well, but this company was like, we actually need participants for our study. So they came and took John Quinones, an Emmy award-winning investigative journalist. He took his blood, and they were going to wait 30 days and measure it, his oxidative stress. Well, he came back in 12 days because these investigative reporters, they always have to throw a spin in it. So he came back in 12 days. And this is what happened with his oxidative stress. This is a TBARS, that stands for thiodobutyric acid reactive substances. That's the gold standard for measuring lipid peroxidation of your free fatty acids, which is a marker of oxidative stress. And his oxidative stress came down to the level basically of a newborn. So that was a big deal. And when those results aired on ABC Primetime back in 2005, over 15 years ago now, multiple universities began to investigate and actually fund studies on this product, on whatever they were concerned with, whatever they were researching. They wanted to know how lowering oxidative stress would impact that. Okay. So remember I said NRF2 codes for thousands of genes, expression survival genes. Well, and when we're young, this is what our genes look like. They're all kind of evenly expressed, they're homogeneous, they're optimized. As we age and as we're exposed to those free radicals in the air and the water and EMFs, some of our genes start to get overexpressed and some of our genes start to get underexpressed. And it's actually, that's problematic. You know, it causes all kinds of things. That's why things start to go wrong after we turn 20, because we have we have more oxidative stress. Our genes are not optimized. Well, once you actually activate NRF2, this is what your genes look like again. This is just a small subset of genes that they looked at after being activated for 30 days. It's pretty amazing. So this NRF2 synergizer that we're going to talk about today has been, again, it's over 30 now, peer-reviewed published studies, all the way from, you know, American Heart Association journal, Circulation it's called, Colorado State University, Harvard, Ohio State, Virginia Commonwealth. You can look up the studies. I will send you the link if you're interested to read the studies because they're fascinating. Obviously, it's not it's not designed to treat, cure, prevent, or mitigate any disease. It just is lowering oxidative stress, which happens to be a really big deal. So, and that's what all these universities thought. It's a really big deal. In fact, a meta-analysis, NRF2 was a pathway that was discovered in 1999. And Martin Pall and Steve Levine, I believe Dr. Martin Pall will be nominated, he's been nominated for the Nobel Prize a few times, and I believe he'll get it very soon. He did a meta-analysis of the research on NRF2, and one of his many conclusions in that was that it may become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventive breakthrough in the history of medicine. Okay, here are some mice that were studied at Harvard, and they were given this blend of the 5 herbs. On the right, you can see it's a yellow capsule, and you can see these are the same age mice on the left, and they were given a placebo. And you can see the spots of gray hair on the mice on the left. They are older looking, even though they're the same age. Their coats are dull with gray spots, and the ones on the right, well, they look youthful. All right, here is a great example of what NRF2 activation looks like. Whoops, gotta go back. This is Oscar. Dr. David Thompson is a veterinarian friend of mine, and this is his best friend's dog, Oscar. And he was an older dachshund, and he had issues with oxidative stress, which was causing some inflammation, and just really hard to walk. And then after activating his NRF2 pathway for 3 weeks, he was able to move better. He didn't have as much oxidative stress, and so his inflammatory response was more healthy. Okay, so that's that one.
Hey, Oscar.
Cut that one short. Okay, so the next slide is a pony. This pony is, again, an older pony with a lot of oxidative stress, making it difficult to move. Okay, this is before activation. Why am I showing you animals? Because they don't have a placebo effect. And this is after 3 days, a little better. Okay, this is coming up on 8 days in a minute, 8 days. Walking a lot more relaxed, a little faster, able to move, a little better. And then finally, we have several months later. This is ponies getting older, right? But certainly able to move a lot better. Okay. So, whoops, let me see. So that's just two or three examples. So the NRF2 synergizer is made of turmeric, milk thistle, which is great for liver detoxification. Bacopa is an Ayurvedic and Chinese medicine herb that increases SOD, it increases memory, cognition. Ashwagandha is Indian Ayurvedic, adaptogen, wonderful. And the great thing is they're wonderful ingredients by themselves, but together, again, 1,800% increased induction of these survival genes. So it helps the body detox, it increases body's detoxification genes. Again, reduces oxidative stress by 40% in just 30 days, produces enzymes capable of neutralizing 1 million free radicals versus just 1-to-1 like direct antioxidants, okay? And it supports natural repair, detoxification, rejuvenation. So it's been featured, as we saw, on ABC Primetime. And if you need to see that, if you haven't seen that news report, please ask me for the link. I can give you the link to the ABC News report. I can give you a link where Dr. Phil is talking to Donny Osmond about it, PBS Health Quest, NBC Dateline, sorry, NBC Today Show. It's been in the Wall Street Journal. And it has multiple patents. The reason it has patents is because the recipe matters. It really is a different entity. And the great thing about it is very small amounts of each of the ingredients. Here's an example of what some oxidative stress looks like as far as the structure and function of the brain. And these are different NRF2 activators. And we studied a couple of drugs. Sulforaphane is kind of the gold standard in NRF2 activation for a single ingredient. But this blend is, they didn't know about this. So actually the researchers of the company that made one of these drugs, Biogen, this drug, did the study, and they looked at all these NRF2 activators in terms of how much they protected the brain. Oligodendrocytes, they're the cells in the brain that make the myelin sheath. And when they're exposed to oxidative stress or peroxide, literally hydrogen peroxide, or oxide, oxidizing agents, they die basically. So they showed that these NRF2 agents would protect the cells against oxidative challenge, and interestingly, the blend of herbal ingredients was the most potent inducer. So that's pretty cool. Now we're going to switch from oxidative stress directly to one of the things that occurs as a sequela of oxidative stress, and that's mitochondrial damage. The reason mitochondria are so sensitive to oxidative stress is they are right there where the energy is being produced. They take that, oxygen and the carbon from the food that we eat, they convert it into ATP and the byproduct free radical, which then can damage the delicate mitochondrial membrane. So if you look up mitochondrial dysfunction in PubMed, you're going to see over 43,000 studies, and it's increasing every year. It's underlying cause of all kinds of bad things you don't want to happen. And NRF1 is another pathway in our body. This NRF1 stands for nuclear respiratory factor 1. And that is the kind of master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. So see, there's increasing studies on that as well. There's only 867. It's a relatively hot and new topic. But the NRF1 synergizer benefits are that it increases ATP. Obviously, that means you have more cellular energy, which means your body works more efficiently. To do what? To think, to digest, to repair, to ward off all kinds of invaders. Boosting mitochondrial production also supports heme production, brain function, cognitive health, and heart health. Your heart has the most mitochondria along with your brain and your eyes, unless you're a woman and that's your ovaries. Your brain, your heart, and your eyes have 10,000 mitochondria each versus most of your other cells that have 1,000 mitochondria each. and your ovaries, if you're a woman, have 100,000. Now that's if you're healthy. Now, if you've been experiencing oxidative stress, and if you eat, breathe oxygen, or walk out in the air, you have a lot of oxidative stress, if you're over age 20 especially, because you're not making those enzymes as much as you used to. That dial, that dimmer switch gets turned down. And so what happens when you have so much oxidative stress to your mitochondria, they kind of self-destruct. That's mitophagy. They get the damage to a certain degree. They continue to function, but less efficiently. They produce more free radicals, less energy, and then finally they just self-destruct. So now your brain, which is supposed to have 10,000 mitochondria per cell, now has maybe 9,000 or 8,000. No wonder we get tired as we get older. No wonder we have brain fog. And again, this is a blend of 5 all-natural substances that have been used forever. Alpha-lipoic acid, grape extract, coenzyme Q10, quercetin, and acetyl L-carnitine. Each of these in themselves is a wonderful mitochondrial food, but in this patent-pending blend, increases the NRF1 pathway significantly. We're going to get into some exact numbers of how much. Finally, we're going to talk about sirtuins. Sirtuins, again, there's almost 10,000 studies on sirtuins. You can see it's increasing each year. And NAD. NAD has a ton of studies, almost 57,000. It is a big deal. Dr. David Sinclair is a researcher at Harvard who was recently on the cover of Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world because he's been studying NAD. The reason it's a big deal is he's found that it reverses the aging process in cells. Our NAD levels drop by as much as 50% as we get older. All right, so if we can restore the NAD, then our cells can actually operate as if they were younger. Again, another Time magazine recently this past year said NAD is the closest we've gotten to the fountain of youth. Again, quoting Dr. David Sinclair, it's one of the most important molecules for life to exist. You'd be dead in 30 seconds if you didn't have it. NAD is actually what is used in the production of ATP along with oxygen and carbon, okay? And when Dr. Sinclair increased NAD in older mice, not only did they look and act younger, they lived longer. And within a couple hours, you know, the researchers could no longer tell the difference between a mouse that was older and the mouse that was younger. Here's a great visual of this. I'm going to tell you what's on this because it's a grainy video and I apologize for that. But on the left, the mouse has more NAD and sirtuin activity. You can see him, he's up here on the treadmill. On the right, this little guy down here, he's a normal mouse. You'll see that this mouse on the right stops a lot and actually kind of looks up like, help me, on the side. And this guy, this one keeps going. And it actually ran farther than the programmed treadmill because no mouse had ever run more than 3 kilometers. So they programmed the treadmill to go off and this mouse was not done running when the treadmill stopped running. So he literally went farther than the treadmill. But whoops, what happened? Try to play this video. Here we go. Play.
And 50% further, but actually some of them ran so far that the machine, the little treadmill, stopped working. And we had to reprogram the software because this program had never seen a mouse that ran more than 3 kilometers.
3 kilometers for a mouse.
For an old mouse, they outran the young mice.
So how would you like to be the mouse on the left? Well, now you can because there's an NAD synergizer that actually increases sirtuin and activity and NAD by 100% in 24 hours versus taking a precursor like many of us were taking nicotinamide riboside or NMN, precursors of NAD. But that's like bringing more bricks to a house construction site, thinking that's going to get the house built faster. Well, it will if you were waiting for the load of bricks. But the better way would be to bring more of all the materials and the construction workers and foremen to the house, and then the house will get built faster. That's what this synergizer does. It's a blend of 4, again, natural compounds, wasabi, olive leaf extract, theacrine, and cuprous niacin, and they increase the whole pathway, the enzymatic pathway, and I'm going to show you exactly how in a second. Okay, we're going to go review real quick. The NRF2 is basically increasing survival genes, scavenger, detoxification pathways. So the cleanup crew, the firefighters, the sanitation department, they take out the trash, they put out the fire of inflammation. NRF1 is the energy company. It's the powerhouse of the cell. It helps make cellular energy to do the work of the detoxification. And then NAD is more like the CEO of the cell. It tells all of the other enzymes where to go and what to do. And it also, not only that, it protects and silences genes that shouldn't be expressed. And then if the DNA is damaged, it goes to the site of the double strand break in the DNA and repairs it. All right, so big deal. Now, how do these things happen? Well, if you took a look at the two of the target genes for each of the synergizer. For the NRF2, it's the protein, it's the antioxidant protein NQO1, and another one is hemoxygenase 1. Okay, they're antioxidant detoxification, healthy and inflammatory response. If you just take the NRF2 synergizer by itself, those are upregulated 40 and 51% respectively. But stacked together with the other two synergizers, there's massive, massive synergy among the three. 1,563% more healthy inflammatory response, 83% more antioxidant detoxification when taken together with the three. The NRF1 gene codes for multiple enzymes, but two of them in particular are the NRF1 gene itself and the PGC1 alpha, which regulates mitochondrial biogenesis also. When taken by itself, the NRF1 synergizer increases these 65% and 671% respectively, and with the other two, up to 120% and 90%. Okay, now the NAD synergizer increases the key enzyme in NAD recycling by 12%, and the central enzyme for NAD synthesis, de novo synthesis, by 12%. But when stacked with the other two, NRF2 and NRF1, it increases that enzymatic activity by almost 1,800% more and 967% more respectively. What does it look like to have less oxidative stress in the brain? Now we have a liquid brain food that is NRF2 specifically formulated for the brain. It helps with cognition, focus, mood, clarity, mental and physical energy. There's a caffeinated and decaf version. What does it look like? Well, this is a handwriting sample of a young child, nephew of a doctor friend of mine, before activating his NRF2 pathway and activating his brain with the liquid brain food, and after. You can see the handwriting is neater, it's more accurate, fewer mistakes. It just looks like a healthier brain is at work, and indeed it is. Here is an example of brain mapping. Now this person has taken the NRF1, NRF2, and the liquid brain food, and this is his brain map before at the top, and you can see the areas of red are more activity, more brain activity than the normative data, or just the average of thousands of people. And more activity means just a little hyper response in certain areas. So this child had difficulty focusing. After 1 week, this is what his brain looked like. Okay, it was completely normal in terms of activity. So what if you could feel like you're supposed to and used to feel? What if you slept better? What if you had more focus and better mental clarity, had fewer crashes throughout the day? What if you had consistent, amazing mood and energy all day and felt confident in your body's cellular protection? What if all that goodness on the inside showed on the outside? Well, here it is 9 years later, okay? I feel at almost 54 years old, I feel like I'm in my 20s. Now remember, 9 years ago when I was in my early to mid 40s, 44, 45, I felt like I was 64. Well, here's what that looks like. This is my really good friend, Amy. In 2014, she is a really kick-butt financial planner, presidential circle. That's how she looked in 2014, and 3 years later, she looks 10 years younger to me. All right, that is what cellular activation from the inside out and outside in does, and I'll get into the outside in a minute. These two ladies were activating their NRF2 pathway from the inside out before, so on day 1. But then the company that I'm aligned with came out with the NRF2 for your skin, for your largest organ, topical NRF2 activation. And it makes sense because your skin is exposed to oxidative stress from the inside out, from your circulation, but it's also directly exposed from the outside in, from the sun, from the water, from the EMFs, the poor UV light that we're exposed to, the blue light waves or waves of radiation. I can't talk. The blue light spectrum is damaging to our cells of our skin, photo damaging, photo aging. At any rate, these ladies used the topical for 60 days and you can see a massive difference. This lady was scheduled to have some of this loose skin removed and she canceled that surgery. This lady, her skin around her mouth is so much tighter. Her number 11s are less apparent. Her lines on her lid are much less noticeable. I just love what this did for her. And I actually love what it did for my skin as well. My hairdresser used to tell me to at least wear a tinted moisturizer. I said, I'm going to get a new hairdresser. So these are other examples of what activation looks like. We're not going to say anything about a diagnosis, but just some of these people look like they are not as healthy as they should be. Your skin is your largest organ, and therefore lack of cellular health really, really shows in your skin. And these ladies are looking healthy now. This is a clinical trial when they launched the topical Nerve-2 activation. I love these pictures because most before and after photos, it's really difficult to get the lighting the same, the expression the same, the angle the same, the distance the same. Usually there's some variation and you really can't tell how much of a difference it is. Expression can make a big difference. Well, these ladies were in a clinical trial, so they had the professional photo set up, the lighting, the expression, everything was the same. And you can see massive difference in the depth and length of this marionette line. And then the epicanthal fold is almost not visible, and the crow's feet are much less visible. So I love what Nerve-2 activation does for your skin. Now, I've already shown you some videos of animals before and after, but you can just tell when an animal feels good. You know, this pony looks like he doesn't feel very well, and now he looks like he's pretty perky. This horse is Rye in July of 2017. He was 18 years old, beautiful horse, hard-working horse. The next month, he's 18 years old. Okay, there you can see a full view. And now a few months later, he's got activation. Now he's 18 years young. 18 years young. And then they kept up, and he's 20 years old. Look at his top line. Oh my gosh. The neck is so muscular. This horse is winning dressage competitions. Okay. A former racehorse too. He did not have an easy life. He was a racehorse on the track when he was young. Okay, next. These are some other dogs. This little doggy was just kind of red underneath. Now he looks happy. This is a sister of, this is not my dog, this is my friend's dog. And I use her photos, but these two are the same litter mates. You can see she's got more muzzle gray. She also looks a little stressed and anxious. He looks chill and happy. This is some irritation, just a little less oxidative stress, does wonders. These two are brothers, again, same litter. This guy looks a little stressed and gray. He looks pretty happy. Oxidative stress on the skin of this dog's belly, on the skin of this, I guess it's a chow, I don't know, and the nose. So you can just see it works. So in today's day and age, it's so important to be as healthy as possible, to have your cells working the way they were supposed to, the way that they used to. But it's also important to have a secondary income stream. And honestly, as I said, 9 years ago, my doctor told me about it. I started taking it, or 9 years ago, I felt exhausted. About 8 years ago, my doctor told me about it. Yes, so there was a little bit of time. I had to take those 28 anti-aging pills a day for 6 months, and I didn't like it. But I had no intention of doing anything with it other than taking the pills and giving it to my dog and my husband, and eventually my dad and my mom and my grandparents, and eventually my kids. But when I saw what this was doing, I felt absolutely compelled to share it with people. I know Harpreet Sui has used a topical Nerve-2 activation for her hands. She had posted her hands were getting irritated by washing so much, and we're all washing our hands like crazy. So she loved it so much, she bought 4 for her sisters. I know Dr. Deborah Viglione in this group has had absolutely transformation in her medical practice. She was a very forward-thinking, basically the integrative doctor that used supplements, and she would send her patients out of the office just like my doctor did, with like 30 supplements and hundreds of dollars worth of supplements, and she would see improvement because supplements do work, especially if you're deficient in nutrients. But these activators changed her practice. I know, gosh, there's so many more. We've got doctors Talar Tajarian. She's a surgeon in California. She loves what the topical activation for the scalp did for her. I mean, she's absolutely blown away. She didn't believe it would work. I didn't even show the pictures of that, but Nerve-2 activation on your scalp works. If your cells of your scalp are stressed from oxidation, it works. I used to have a lot of problems with the hair here, and it's just obviously filled in. So anyway, I love that we can help people feel better so they can do more and actually contribute to the world in a better way. I mean, if you're one of the people that's on the front lines, you need your cells to be healthy. You need to be activated. You need to feel great. You need that mental focus. You need your skin protected. So we can help people with these fundamental problems, but I couldn't believe, and now anybody that wants the income disclosure statement, please ask me. There are 10 ranks in the company, and I'm 2 from the top, and I'm mid to upper 6 figures. It's unbelievable. We get paid monthly. We get paid weekly. And it's a laptop lifestyle, social sharing. You can do everything from your phone. It is so easy, and these products are so needed, especially now for people's health and well-being. It's the perfect meld. I love it. You can just share your website with people. We have an app that makes working this as easy as, you know, ordering an Uber. And again, here's the income disclosure. So this is the old one and this is the new one. The reason I have the old one up there is just it's easier to read. And as you can see, the numbers as Master Pro 10, you know, they're about the same. The middle ranks, the lower middle ranks have increased. So Pro 3 in this company used to earn $580 a month on average. Today it's $626. Mid-rank Pro 5 used to make $2,551 a month. Today they make $3,107 a month. Premier Pro 6 used to be $5,858. Now it's almost $7,000 a month. Elite Pro 7, it used to be just a little over 11,000. Now it's over 13,000. And my rank is Pro 8. It's an average of 22,000 before. Now it's an average of almost 26,000. I'm actually in between Pro 8 and Pro 9. So I didn't plan to have this business as a significant business that is actually saving me, because my radiology, the imaging centers that I read for have cut back their schedule way back. They're only doing less than half of what they normally do, and they say stay today. They may not stand tomorrow. And so there's my radiology income just stopped, you know. So it's really good to have a secondary income stream. But it's even better to have a secondary income stream that solves a problem that everyone has and really truly makes a difference in people's lives. It's so gratifying. Every single day I get text messages from people, unbelievable text messages of things that they are now able to do that they hadn't been able to do for years, or things that they no longer have to do that they used to have to do. And it's just because their bodies are working better. So if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, says Warren Buffett, you'll be working until you die. As physicians, we do not get paid if we're not reading an MRI or treating a patient. Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't send us a stimulus check, right? I mean, Donald Trump might, but that remains to be seen. So we definitely have to plan for the future, not only financially, but also physically. We are each and every one of us getting older every day, which means our oxidative stress levels are going to be going up, like that angled ramp that you saw that John Quinones, you know, that T-bar scores tend to go up with age. That's a trend, unless you activate. And then they go down to the level of a healthy 20-year-old or less. And another example, C-reactive protein is an indirect marker of oxidative stress. It's an indirect marker of inflammation. And mine came down over 90%. I'm getting older. It was 1.5. It wasn't very, very abnormal, but it wasn't ideal. And today it's 0.12. I like that. So I hope you enjoyed this Lunch and Learn today. I hope that you really learned something. If you would like to learn more tips, tricks, and vitality hacks, just put the word group down below and I can invite you to an educational group that's run by multiple physicians. You can look around, ask questions, and learn at your own pace. If you want to see the ABC News Report, put ABC News Report down below. If you would like to just get the link to get some activators. If you want my recommendation, what I take our prebiotic. I take our probiotic that is double wall lined. So it's not killed in the stomach, and it also has Wellmune in it, a patented beta-glucan, which is a prebiotic that has been proven in multiple peer-reviewed studies to reduce the incidence of cold and flu. I take that. I take a really high-quality, unoxidized, non-toxic, molecularly distilled, delicious tasting, literally, you can put it in your mouth and chew it, omega. I take all 3 of the activators. I take a fat burn, because I'd rather burn my unwanted belly fat, which is pretty much unhealthy, if I can, and I do. I use the protein, which is a great thing to have around the house, especially if you don't know if you're going to get your groceries next week. What else? And that's it. So and I use the hair care every day, and my hair is so healthy, so healthy. I used to have stringy, very unmanageable hair. Now it's growing. I have to get it cut like 2 or 3 inches off every few months because it was down to here, like there. I use the skincare. That's it. I use the hand cream. So anyway, love to hear what questions you have. If you are on these products currently and love them, please speak up. I talked about Telartagerian, Harpreet Sweet uses hand cream, Dr. Viglione. There's more of us in here. I know Michelle Flemings didn't like the way her knee felt when she was not taking it. Anyway, love you guys. Have a safe day. Stay well. Stay inside if you don't have to go out. Help flatten the curve. Thinking about you and praying for you all. Thank you very much for your attention. And I am going to say goodbye.